How come no one's talking about the Ursula K. Guin Prize? Welcome to the depths. Hello, welcome back to Reading from the Depths. My name is Lecton. Thank you for spending some time with me today. So today I wanted to talk about the Ursula K. Le Guin Prize for Fiction. This has been around since 2022, celebrating Ursula K. Le Guin, and I only heard of it this year. And to be honest, I live in many sci-fi and fantasy worlds and spaces in BookTube, and yet I don't hear anyone talking about this. So the award this year is going to be announced on October 21st. That is Ursula K. Le Guin's birthday. There are 8 books that are shortlisted for the prize, and I'm hoping to read all of them before the award is given. So I thought I would talk about the award, get other people excited for it, and to see if there can be some discussion about these 8 books. So first, let me tell you about the award. This comes from their website. The Ursula K. Le Guin Prize for Fiction is an annual $25,000 cash prize given to a writer for a single work of imaginative fiction. This award is intended to recognize those writers Ursula spoke of in her 2014 National Book Award speech, realists of a larger reality, who can imagine real grounds for hope and see alternatives to how we live now. This year, 8 shortlisted books were chosen by the Ursula K. Le Guin Foundation following a public nomination process. The recipient of this year's prize will be chosen by a selection panel of authors: Matt Bell, Indra Das, Kelly Link, Segoya Nagamatsu, and Rebecca Roanhorse. The recipient of the 2025 Ursula K. Le Guin Prize for Fiction will be announced on October 21st, Ursula's birthday. So that is an overview of the prize, and as mentioned, it is at least inspired in part by the acceptance speech she gave to the 2014 National Book Foundation Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters. So I'm going to link to her whole acceptance speech below, to a video of her acceptance speech. It's very short, but a highlight from it to kind of set the vibes. Hard times are coming when we'll be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now, can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine real grounds for hope. We'll need writers who can remember freedom, poets, visionaries, realists of a larger reality. Books aren't just commodities. The profit motive is often in conflict with the aims of art. We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable, but then so did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begins in art, very often in our art, the art of words. So that is kind of the message statement of the prize going forward. Now, before I share the 8 books that were shortlisted this year, I'll go through the winners. It's only been around since 2022, so there have been 3 prizes awarded so far. In 2022, the winner was The House of Rust by Kadia Abdallah Bajaber. In 2023, the winner was Abhor Reality by Rebecca Campbell. And in 2024, the winner was It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over by Anne DeMarkin. Now, I haven't had the chance to read any of those, and I'm hoping to. It'd be really great if I could read them before this year's award is given, but I'm going to try to read at least the 8 shortlisted books first. And then when I finish those, then I'll see if I can go back to past year's winners and go from there. So the 8 books that are shortlisted, I'm just going to read a small blurb that is given on the Ursula K. Le Guin website about these 8 books to introduce them to you. Rake's Fall by Vandra Chandrasekhara. Over the course of centuries, 2 characters move through eras in lives, recurring, coming together, coming apart, and seeking change. Revolutionary-minded and dizzyingly intricate, Chandrasekhara's novel defies narrative expectations as it considers history, power, perspective, resistance, and the dread scale of myth and nightmare. Archangels of Funk by Andrea Hairston. The next World Festival must and will go on in Archangels of Funk, which depicts an art and community-filled vision of how we might live in a semi-apocalyptic future. Warm, hopeful, funky, and wise, Hairston's novel has room for elders, dogs, teens, children, spirits, musicians, performers, writers, coders, and everyone else, on stage or off. Blackheart Man by Nelo Hopkinson. On the island nation of Chinchin, Griant-in-training Vekosi gets himself into considerable trouble while trying to help head off a potential invasion, and to figure out what's happened to the town's children. Layered with history, culture, and folklore, Hopkinson's novel is a lush, adventurous feast of possibility and wit. The Sapling Cage by Margaret Killjoy. Killjoy's beautifully imagined coming-of-age fantasy explores acceptance, community, gender, power, and resistance through the story of a young trans protagonist who becomes more fully herself among anarchic witches, irreverent knights, compelling magic, and an unnerving threat to the natural world. The West Passage by Jared Pachechik. An illuminated and illuminating tale, The West Passage follows 2 young people carrying outsized responsibilities as they move through a surreal and vividly imagined landscape of beauty and horror. Pacific's debut considers power, tradition, and the possibility of rejecting expectations in search of a better future. Remember You Will Die by Eden Robbins. Composed primarily of obituaries, Remember You Will Die traces the lives of artists, activists, scientists, and more as they intersect and overlap with the existence of a yearning AI who misses her daughter. In this unexpectedly life-affirming novel about death, Robbins weaves a polyphonic narrative that is intergenerational, art-filled, and subversive. The City in Glass by Ni Vo. A demon named Vitrine spends centuries rebuilding her beloved city after its destruction by righteous angels, one of whom lingers, slowly and strangely offering help. Vo's latest is a story about deeply understanding and loving a place, and about the difficult, necessary, meaningful work required to rebuild when one's own world is irrevocably broken. North Continent Ribbon by Ursula K. Witcher elegantly weaves a complex picture of the cultural and political history of the planet Nakarat, home to assassins, judges, sex workers, teenagers, and sentient starships, building a nuanced, tender understanding of how the politics of power plays out through the lives of individuals and how collective resistance evolves within intimate relationships. So that is it. Those are the 8 books that are shortlisted for the 2025 prize. And now of those 8, I only recognized one author, Ni Vo. The other authors I have never heard of before, so it'd be fun to jump into it. The books sound quite diverse, and so it'll be interesting to try to compare them and to see. Now, at the time of recording this, I have read one of them so far, Rake's Fall by Vandra Chandrasekhara. I finished that just yesterday, and so that's the only one I've read. I'm not going to talk about it now because I want to read some more of them and talk about them in a group. So my plan going forward is I'm going to do my best to read all 8 of these before October 21st. And I think I should be able to, if I can get them in time. I've requested all these books from my library, both in ebook format as well as audiobook format. And we'll see whatever comes first. And that's the order I'm going to read them in. So I don't have any real reading plan. I'm just going to see which ones are made available to me and read them in the order that I get them. And if I get the ebook first, I'll read that. And if I get the audiobook first, I'll read that. So it's not really comparing apples to apples. I'm going to do my best though, because I don't have access to all of them readily otherwise. And so the plan is to read all of them. And maybe I will do a video next month after I've read half of them or so and talk about how I'm feeling about it so far. And then maybe one more video before the prize is announced after I've finished reading all of the books and share my thoughts about the 8 books and which one I would choose if I was making the choice. And then after the announcement is made and the prize is given in late October, I'll probably make another video, a follow-up, just comparing what was announced and my own feelings. So we'll see. That's kind of the plan going forward. Another 1 or 2 videos before the 21st. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you read any of these novels or even heard of them? Have you heard of the Ursula K. Guin Prize for Fiction? And have you read any of the past winners? You know, a prize of $25,000 is nothing to shake your head at. So I'm surprised I haven't heard more about this. I'm really excited that a prize like this even exists, right? A prize to celebrate genre fiction especially and recognize its role and art's role in general in pushing for a better future, right? As opposed to just describing the past, but actually trying to be transformative in some way, which I think is really a project that Ursula K. Guin herself was committed to in all of her work. So I don't think I have anything else to add to this. I'd love to hear your thoughts about these books or about any of the others or about the prize in general. Or if you want to try to read all 8 books as well, what are your plans? How do you think you're going to go about it? Anything you want to talk about, let's start a discussion down in the comments below. But for now, I'll say thank you for spending some time with me today. I appreciate you. Please be kind to yourselves, take care of each other, and go slowly.